We have a crisis in the world, tremendous crisis, and also crisis in our consciousness, in us. I see the urgency of change, radical revolution, mutation in the mind. I see it. It is necessary. There is complete quietness of the mind, and that which is silent has vast space. Only then that which is nameless comes into being.
This is Urgency of Change, the Krishnamurti podcast. Organisations will never succeed in bringing about peace because human beings individually, collectively, nationally are in conflict. Hello and welcome to episode 273 of Urgency of Change. Each episode of the Krishnamurti podcast is based on a significant theme of his talks. Extracts from the archives have been selected to represent Krishnamurti's different approaches to these universal and timelessly relevant topics. This episode's theme is organisations. Upcoming topics are the heart and awakening. This is a podcast from Krishnamurti Foundation Trust. Please visit our website at kfoundation.org, where you can find a popular collection of quotes, a variety of featured articles, along with a wide selection of curated material in the index of topics. This index allows easy access to book, audio and video extracts. The online store stocks the best of Krishnamurti's books and ships worldwide. We also offer free downloads, including a selection of booklets. You can also find our regular Krishnamurti quotes and videos on Instagram, TikTok and Facebook at Krishnamurti Foundation Trust. If you enjoy the podcast, please leave a review or rating on your podcast app. This episode on organisations has 6 sections. This first extract is from a phonograph recording of Krishnamurti and is titled Truth Cannot Be Organised.
I maintain that truth is a pathless land and cannot be approached by any path whatsoever, by any religion or by any sect. Truth being limitless, unconditioned, unapproachable by any path whatsoever, cannot be organized, nor should any organization be formed to lead or coerce people along any particular path. First understanding that, you will see how impossible it is to organize a belief being purely an individual matter. You cannot, therefore, organize it. If you do, it becomes crystallized, dead. It becomes a creed, a sect, a religion to be imposed on others. This is what everyone throughout the world is attempting to do. Truth is narrowed down to make a plaything for those who are weak, for those who are only momentarily discontented. Truth cannot be brought down. Rather, the individual must make the effort to ascend to it. You cannot bring the mountaintop to the valley. If you would attain to the mountaintop, you must pass through the valley, climb the steep, unafraid of the dangerous precipices. Organizations cannot make you free, nor develop the inner man. No man from the outside can make you free, nor can organized worship, nor the immolation of yourself for a cause make you free. Therefore, I am not concerning myself with the founding of religion or new sects, or the establishment of new theories and new philosophies. On the contrary, I am concerning myself with only one essential thing, the true freedom of man. I would help him to break away from all limitation, to free himself from all fear. The fear of religion, from the fear of salvation, from the fear of spirituality, from the fear of love, from the fear of death, and from the fear of life itself. My desire then is that men should be unconditionally free. For I maintain that the only spirituality is the incorruptibility of that self which is eternal. It is the harmony between reason and love. This is the highest reality. This is life itself. True perfection, therefore, the harmony of the self, has no law. This must not be translated to mean chaos. It is above all law and above all chaos, because it is the seed of everything, that from which all transformation arises and on which all things depend. If you desire that harmony of the self, in which is true, and the poise of that self, in which is true creation, you must care for that self, which abides in each, and be concerned with that self. What is the self? The I. Where is the I? The I is the mind in thought. The I is emotion in love. In establishing harmony between mind and emotion, in creating that eternal poise, lies the unfoldment of truth. If you would establish that harmony, then worship, prayers, mediators, the seeking of comfort are unnecessary. You must come to it naturally as the flower blossoms of a morning. The struggle is purely an individual matter. I cannot tell you how to struggle. I cannot create for you new systems which will guide you in your struggle, nor give you comfort. To attain that harmony, you must possess the quality of love, which is pure action. Your love at present is concerned with personal likes and dislikes. You dispute about what gods you should worship, what rites and ceremonies you should perform, what religions you should follow. This is the chief concern, instead of to acquire that quality of love, which is without division, without limitation. To acquire the harmony of pure action through struggle, through strife, through constant awareness of self-recollectedness. The mind and the heart of the same substance, and you must look to the purification of that substance and make that substance which is thought, which is love, incorruptible. The moment there is in thought separation created by the mind, there is limitation and hence sorrow. The moment there is in love the creation of personal likes and dislikes, there is limitation and hence sorrow. To make the mind and the heart free of limitation, free of corruption, is happiness, liberation, and truth.
The second extract is from the first talk in Santa Monica 1971 and is titled, Organisations Have Not Solved Our Problems.
When one goes through the world talking to different people, as the speaker has just done in India, and coming across to this country, one observes, as you must have observed, a vast confusion. Confusion created by man. Confusion in the religious world. Confusion politically, in the world of science, and in sociology. Everywhere one looks, there is division. There is every form of fragmentation. And when one asks of oneself, what is the central issue in all this? We know there is the religious division which makes people all over the world separate, divides people. There are the specialists, the philosophers, the scientists with their own particular specializations. There is the linguistic difference. But apart from all this, we are human beings caught in a vast machine, whether it is communism or socialism or capitalism, a vast struggle, misery, great sorrow. Observing all this, one asks, what is the central issue? What is the main problem for all of us? Whether you are a Catholic or a Protestant, whether you are a hippie caught in the drug culture, whether you are a Marxist hoping through Marxism, through organization, you will solve the whole human problem, or whether you believe in God or don't believe in God. What is this thing that stands out, that demands a complete answer, a total solution? Does this solution lie through any organization, present, or an organization to be put together? Does it lie through the Marxist, utopian, economic, bureaucratic organization? Or does it lie through a particular political party? Or does it lie in the organization of belief, which is called religion with all its vast propaganda? Or it has nothing whatsoever to do with all this? And in observing not only the confusion, the real deep sorrow, the one issue, at least for the speaker, is how to bring about a total unity of man. A man who is entirely different from what he is now, who has brought about in himself a total change, a radical psychological revolution. And from that revolution, one can have then organization which will not be this bureaucratic, tyrannical, destructive organizations, political or religious. So it seems to me, going from country to country, talking to great many people, both the communists, the religious people who believe in their own particular form of God, and the sociologists and the scientists, and the everlasting do-gooders, it comes upon one that there is only one question, that the human mind must undergo a radical revolution. That is the real crisis. Not the economic or the organizational crisis. It is not war, whether in Vietnam or in the Middle East. But is it possible for human beings living in this modern, dreadful world, so brutal, so violent, through violence, killing people, hoping to bring about peace, hurting people? Whether in this world, man, that is you, as a human being, caught in this trap, whether you can completely and totally change. And it seems to me that's the central issue. Not to what organizations you belong, not the creation of new organizations, not what kind of new ideology or philosophy, or a new form of experience through drugs or through various cultural divisions. But, as we said, there is only one issue, and that is whether the human mind is our mind, the daily mind, with all its problems, with its strains, with its confusion and misery, with its so-called insoluble problems. Whether that mind can fundamentally, deeply change, not through evolution, not through a gradual process taking many centuries, but whether our minds and our hearts can transform itself living in this world without the action of will. That is the question. And that we must answer. Whether you, as a human being, who is responsible for the world as it is, because you and I have created this mess, this confusion, this terrible violence that's going on. We have contributed to it. We are part of this world, and the world is part of us. And merely to bring about a reformation or a physical revolution outwardly has very little meaning. However splendid, however efficient the outward organization be, the human mind as it is will use it and corrupt the action of that organization, which has been obviously shown recently in the Russian and other forms of revolution. Physical revolution does not or will never solve our problem. It will only bring about perhaps a more brutal bureaucracy, greater tyranny, the utter denial of freedom. And the organization of new belief. As the propaganda of religions has neither solved this problem or will ever solve this problem. Because we, as human beings, we are more or less the same as we have ever been. Brutal, violent, competitive, acquisitive, self-centered, being concerned with ourselves, occupied with our own problems, until, it seems to me, we, as human beings and therefore as individuals, and this is not the salvation of an individual at all. On the contrary, the word individuality means a total unity, undivided, indivisible. But we are not individuals. We are broken up, fragmented, contradictory. And seeing all this, there is only one question. Whether you, as a human being living in this world, radically bring about a transformation in yourself. This transformation, not according to any philosophy or any psychologist or any specialist. If you do change according to some philosophy, according to some belief or psychology, then you are changing according to a pattern set by another. However clever, however satisfying, you will merely bring about a change according to somebody else. And such a change is no change at all. It's a continuous form of imitation, conformity. So, The question is, if one can repeat it again, whether this mind, with its brain, which is the result of centuries of evolution, conditioned as it is by the environment which it has created, caught in this trap, whether it is possible for this mind to undergo a radical revolution.
The third extract is from Krishnamurti's talk at the United Nations in 1985 and is titled Organisations Cannot Help Us Live Peacefully.
Mankind, man, has lived on this earth over 50,000 years, and perhaps much longer or for a less duration. During all this long evolution, man has not found peace on earth. Pacem terris has been preached long before Christianity by the ancient Hindus and the Buddhists. And during all this time, man has lived in conflict. Not only conflict with his neighbor, but with people of his own community, of his own society, with his own family. He has fought, struggled against man for the last 5,000 years, and perhaps more historically. There have been wars practically every year, and we are still at war. I believe there are 40 wars going on at the present time. And the religious hierarchy, not only the Catholics but the others, groups, have talked about pacem terris, peace on earth, goodwill among men. They never come about to have peace on earth. And they've talked about peace in, when you die, you go to heaven and you'll have peace there. One wonders, if one is at all serious, why man kills another human being in the name of God, in the name of peace, in the name of some ideology, or for his country, whatever that may mean, or for the king and the queen and all the rest of that business. Probably we all know this, that man has never lived on this earth, which is being slowly destroyed. Why the man cannot live at peace with another human being? Why there are separate nations, which is after all a glorified tribalism, and religions whether it be Christianity, Hinduism, or Buddhism. They're also at war with each other. Nations are at war. Groups are at war. Ideologies, whether it is the Russian or the American or any other category of ideologies, they're all at war with each other, conflict. And after living on this earth for so many centuries, why is it man cannot live peacefully on this marvelous earth? This question has been asked over and over again. An organization like this has been formed around that. What is the future of this particular organization? After the 40th year, beyond what lies? Time is a strange factor in life. Time is very important for all of us. And the future is what is present. Future is now. Because the present, which is also the past, modifying itself now, becomes the future. This has been the cycle of time, the path of time. And now, not beyond 40, after 40th year of this organization, but now, at the present time, if there is no radical change, fundamental mutation, the future is what is now. And that's been historically proved, and we can prove it in our daily lives. So the question really is whether human beings, you and us, sitting on a platform, I'm sorry to be sitting up here, we are human beings. And as long as we, with each other, or with man and woman, are in perpetual conflict, there will be no peace on this earth. One may talk about it endlessly. The Roman Catholic hierarchy talks about pacem in terris. And they have been also responsible for appalling wars in the past. 100 years of war, torture, all kinds of horrible things they have done to man. These are all facts, actualities, not the speaker's wish. And religions, including Islam, Hindus, Buddhists, and so on, they've had their own kind of war. And the future beyond the 40th anniversary is what is going on now. One wonders if one realizes that the present is not only the past, but also contains the future. Modifying the past, modifying itself constantly through the present and projecting the future. If we don't stop quarrels, struggles, antagonism, hate, now it'll be like that tomorrow. And you can stretch out that tomorrows for 1,000 years. It'll be still tomorrow. So it behoves us to ask ourselves whether we as human beings, single or a community, or in a family, whether we can live peacefully with each other. Organizations have not solved this problem. You can reorganize, but war still goes on. So organizations, whether it's world organization or a particular kind of organization to bring about peace, such organizations will never succeed because human beings, individually, collectively, nationally, are in conflict. Strong nations like America or Russia are at war with each other, economically, ideologically, and actually. Not bloodshed yet. So, peace cannot possibly exist on this earth if there are nationalities, which, as we've said, is a glorified tribalism. Nationalities give certain security. Man needs security. And he invests in nationalism or in a particular ideology or belief. Beliefs, ideologies, and so on have separated man. And organizations cannot possibly bring about peace between man and man because he believes in something. He believes in certain ideologies. He believes in God, and others don't. I wonder if one ever considered religions based on a book, like the Quran or the Bible. Become very bigoted, narrow, and fundamentalist. And religions like the Hindu and the Buddhist, they have many, many books, all considered sacred, real, straight from God's mouth. So, they're not so bigoted. They tolerate, they absorb. So there's this conflict going on. Those who rely or put their faith in books and those who do not. put their faith in any book. So the conflict between the book and those who accept multiple books. I wonder if one is aware of all this. And we're asking deeply, if you are serious at all, whether you and I and those of us who are involved in organizations can live at peace with each other. Peace requires a great deal of intelligence, not just demonstrations against a particular form of war, against the nuclear or whatever, the atom bomb and so on. Those are the products of minds, brains that have entrenched in nationalism, in some particular form of belief, ideology. So they are supplying armaments, the powerful ones, whether it be Russia, America, or England or France, armaments to the rest of the world. And they also talk about peace, supplying at the same time armaments. It's a vast, cynical world. And cynicism can never tolerate affection, care, love. I think we have lost that quality of compassion. Not analyze what is compassion. It can be analyzed very easily. You cannot analyze love. Love is not within the limits of the brain, because the brain is the instrument of sensation, is the center of all reaction and action. And we try to find peace, love within this limited area. Which means thought is not love. Because thought is based on experience, which is limited, and on knowledge, which is always limited, whether now or in the future. So knowledge is always limited. And having knowledge, which is contained in the brain as memory, from that memory springs thought. This can be observed very simply and easily. If one examines oneself, if one looks at one's own activity of thought, experience, knowledge, you don't have to read any book or become a specialist to understand your own way of thinking, living. So thought is always limited, whether it's now or in the future. And we try to solve all our problems, both technological, religious, and personal, through the activity of thought. Surely thought is not love. Love is not sensation or pleasure. It is not the result of desire. It is something entirely different. To come upon that love, which is compassion, which is its own intelligence. One has to understand oneself, what we are, not through analysis, but understanding our own sorrows, our own pleasures, our own beliefs. You want to know, wherever you go, all over the world, mankind, human beings, suffer for various reasons. It might be petty or some very, very deep incident that has caused pain, sorrow. And every human being on this earth goes through that on a minor scale or a tremendous incident as death. And sorrow is shared by all mankind. It's not your sorrow or mine, it's mankind's sorrow. Mankind's anxiety, pain, loneliness, despair, aggressiveness. So you and we are the rest of humanity. We are not separate human beings psychologically. You may be a woman, or you may be a man, you may be tall, dark, short, and so on. But inwardly, psychologically, which is far more important, we are the rest of mankind. You are the rest of mankind. And so if you kill another, if you are in conflict with another, you are destroying yourself. You can observe this very, very carefully if you look at yourself without any distortion. So there can only be peace when mankind, when you and I have no conflict in ourselves.
The fourth extract is from the first talk at Brockwood Park in 1979 and is titled The Divisive Nature of Authority and Organisations.
If I have a guru, thank God I haven't got one, if I have a guru and I followed him, what have I done to myself? What have I done in the world? Nothing. He tells me some nonsense, how to meditate this or that, and I'll get marvelous experience or levitate on all the rest nonsense. And my intention is to bring about a good society where we can be happy, where there is a sense of affection, a relationship, so that there is no barrier. That's my longing. I go to you as my guru, and what have I done? I've destroyed the very thing that I wanted. Because authority, apart from law and all the rest of that, psychological authority is divisive, is in its very nature separative. You up there and I down below. And so you are always progressing higher and higher, and I'm also progressing higher and higher. We never meet. This is what you laugh, I know. But actually, this is what we are doing. So can I realize authority with its implication of organization will never free me. Authority gives one a sense of security. I don't know, I'm confused, you know, perhaps, at least I think you know. That's good enough for me. I invest my energy and my demand for security in you, in what you're talking about. And we create an organization around that, and that very organization becomes the prison. I don't know if you know all this. That's why one should not belong to any spiritual organization, however promising, however enticing, however romantic. Can we even see that together? You understand my question? See it together, to be a fact. And therefore, when we see that together, it's finished. Seeing that the very nature of authority, with its organization, religious and otherwise, is separative and obedience, setting up the hierarchical system, which is what is happening in the world, and therefore which is part of the very destructive nature of the world. Seeing the truth of that, throw it out. Can we do that? So that none of us belong to any spiritual organizations. That in religious organizations, Catholic, Protestant, Hindu, Buddhist, none. By belonging to something, we feel secure. Right? Obviously. But belonging to something invariably brings about insecurity, because in itself it's separative. You have your guru, your authority, you are Catholic, Protestant, and somebody else is something else. So they never meet. The all organized religion says we're all working together for truth. So can we, listening to each other, to this fact, finish from our thinking all sense of acceptance of authority, psychological authority, and therefore all the organizations created around it. Then what happens? Have I dropped authority because you have said so? And I see the destructive nature of these so-called organizations. And do I see it as a fact and therefore with intelligence, or just vaguely accept it? I don't know if you're following this. If one sees the fact, the very perception of that fact is intelligence. And in that intelligence there is security. Not in some superstitious nonsense.
fifth extract is from Krishnamurti's first talk in Madras 1972 and is titled Organisations Will Not Bring About Transformation.
Thought is time. And we are questioning, will time bring about change? Or change in the sense, revolution, totally different kind of mind. Mind which has sensitive, which is alive, which is active, which is extraordinarily, perceptive. Has the sense of depth, beauty, love. All that is the mind. Can thought bring about a radical revolution in the quality of the mind itself? As one observes, thought cannot. It can invent theories, it can invent ideals, concepts according to which you try to live, political concepts, as a communist, socialist, or what you will. Thought can invent all these. There's the communist theory, the socialist theory, the capitalist theory, invented by thought. And thought, by these inventions, have separated human beings, as religions have separated human beings, which is the product of thought. You're following all this? So we are asking, if thought is not capable, as it is not capable of radical transformation, bringing about a different quality of mind, then what will? You've understood my question? A serious mind denies the whole structure of society. The whole behavioral pattern that thought has established in that society or in that culture. Organizationally, thought has invented these innumerable organizations, and they in their turn have produced various activities which condition the mind. These are all observable facts. Then organizations will not bring about the transformation of the mind, giving it a new quality. Please listen to this. Organizations will not. And to see the truth of it, makes the mind free of organizational thinking. You understand this? We think through organizations, government, political, religious, or some kind of guru with his organized belief, and his ashrama, which is really a concentration camp. You laugh, don't you? And you belong to it, don't you? Oh, you are cheap people. You belong to it and laugh at it. You are dishonest. And we are serious here. A mind that is serious doesn't belong to any organization. And therefore, no organizer. You don't see the beauty of it. No governments can change this, bring about a radical revolution in the mind. No books, no leader, no guru. You understand, sir? You deny totally, altogether, the structure which man has put together. The economic structure which man has put together through series of industrial developments, look what it is leading to. Buy more, keep on. You following all this? So the man is caught in these two streams, the social stream and the technological stream. And being caught, you say, well, how am I to live if I don't belong to some organization? You understand all this? I hope you're putting these questions to yourself. How am I to live if I don't belong? If I don't identify myself with some country, with some organization, with some belief, with some church, guru and all the rest of it? What shall I do? You are faced with that problem. You may like to avoid it, but you are actually now facing that problem. How will you answer it? Will you wait for somebody else to answer it? And therefore become more second-hand than you are now? Or your mind, the mind that observes, looks, has put itself this question: what am I to do? What am I to do with regard to poverty and riches? What am I to do with this sorrow, not only my own sorrow, but the sorrow of the world? What am I to do? With all the religions which man has put together in his fear, in his hope, in his desire to find something beyond time. And you have to answer this. Not your books, not your guru. They have answered it. They say, follow, read, accept, obey. And this, through obedience, through acceptance, through following, you have produced this world. You have made yourself into second-hand, ugly human beings. So, how do you answer this? Being that thought has no answer. You understand what we are saying? Do you see what it means? when all your social, moral, ethical is based on thinking, organizing the world through thought. And when you say thought has produced this chaos in the world, thought cannot solve it, then you are faced with an enormous question, aren't you? What will answer it? So you have to find a way of answering it which will be true, honest, not invented by thought. You're following all this. Which means no ideals, no formulas, no concepts. Because you live by concepts. You live mechanically according to formulas. And you follow formulas because it's the easiest way mechanically doing it. You have a formula of relationship and you function according to that formula. You have a formula about God and you follow formulas. That's the way you work. The mind works that way. Because mind thinks, please listen to this, mind thinks through formulas, it will be secure. Through formulas you hope to have safety. The communist formula, or the Mao formula, or some kind of new formula. You think by functioning according to a formula, which is mechanical, the mind will be safe, secure, undisturbed. And the formulas means division. You have your formula and I have mine. And the poor old guru has his. Now when you see this, not only see it with your eyes, but see it inwardly. That is, when you see the false as the false, that is the truth. You understand? When you lie and see that it is a lie, this perception at that moment is the truth. You understand this? Come on, sir. So if you see very clearly that formulas of any kind is not the way out of this confusion, because formulas can be organized, and round the formula people can be organized, because people want security. And thought has not given security. You following all this? Thought has brought destruction, war, division, conflict, both outwardly and inwardly. So, if you see the falseness of organizations altogether, and the seeing is the perception of the false and therefore the truth. Therefore, organizations are finished. Wait, you listen to it carefully. Then what will make the mind? How will the mind bring about a radical change in itself? Is there a way? Not a way. You see, words are dangerous. Because when you say how, it means a method, a formula. Or when you say a way, a direction, a point which you will reach, a point which is the formula. So we must avoid the method, the way, the mechanical movement of investigation. Therefore, learning is constant movement and not the acquisition of knowledge.
The final extract in this episode is from the second question and answer meeting at Brockwood Park in 1979 and is titled, Why Are There Krishnamurti Organisations?
You say, organization will not help man to find what we Christians call salvation. So why do you have your own organizations? In 1925, the speaker was the head of a very big, vast organization. He was the head of it, and they looked up to him with devotion, all that stuff, candles and all that. No, please don't laugh. We are just stating facts. And it was considered a spiritual organization, a religious organization. And in 1925, or was it 28 or 29, I've forgotten, it's not important, that organization called the Order of the Star was dissolved by the speaker, because he said that any spiritual organization of any kind is not spiritual. And he dissolved that organization, returned the properties, whole works of it. Now, there are several foundations. One in India, one in this country, America, and Canada. In India, there are 5 schools in different parts of that country with a great deal of land. And there are schools. They are operated under the K Foundation, which is responsible for the land to see that the schools are properly, more or less in the right direction, less perhaps than more. And here also, there is a foundation with a school, and we are hoping that school will keep in the right direction. And the foundation is responsible to gather all these talks, tapes, publish, and so on and so on. And it's the same in America. There is nothing spiritual about it. Right? They act as function. They are necessary. Law demands it. And to publish the books, all the rest of it. And to see that the teachings are kept fairly pure. That's the only function of these foundations, right? It has no other function. They are not spiritual bodies which you can join and attain nirvana or heaven or whatever it is. It's very simple, very clear. Is that all right? So don't please, next time ask about why do you have organizations. It's very simple. There are schools, they publish books, tapes, arrange talks wherever I go, and some of them look after the speaker physically, because the speaker has no money. When the speaker is in India, they look after him. Here, they look after him. When the speaker is in America, they do the same. Full stop. Is that over? That's finished, isn't it?